Back in Computer Music issue 212, we introduced Grind Machine CM, an outstanding rock and metal guitar amp simulation built by DSP experts Audio Assault. Now we've teamed up with Audio Assault to bring you BassAmp CM, a high-quality VST and AU BassAmp simulation for PC and Mac that's completely original and unique to Computer Music magazine. We're going to take a detailed look at how it works and use it in the context of two very different styles of music, disco and metal. To follow along with this tutorial, load up your DAW, set the tempo to 121 BPM and load discobacking.wav and discobass.wav onto a stereo and a mono track respectively, and loop the whole lot. Set the bass track to about -1 dB in your DAW's mixer. You can balance the level as you please later on. Solo the bass track so we can hear it in isolation. This is a bass part recorded directly into an audio interface with no effects or amplifier, commonly referred to as a DI, direct injection, track. A DI track can be very useful when mixing bass, as we'll soon see, but for that fat low end and organic thickness, we really need to run it through a bass amp. So add BassAmp CM to its channel. Right away, we've got a rich, convincing amped bass guitar tone. On the far left of BassAmp CM's interface, you'll find the power switch, which simply bypasses the plugin. Now unsolo the track to hear how it sits in the mix. It sounds good already, but we need to get busy with the remaining controls to bring out the best in it. The deep toggle does what you'd expect. Flick it on and hear how the low end is boosted into the drive stage, emphasizing the lowest frequencies. It sounds too much for this mix, so switch it off again. On the far right of the interface, you'll find BassAmp CM's cab selection switch. Give it a flick to hear how the two cabs sound. We like the sound of cab B for this track, so leave it on this setting. Gain pushes the incoming signal harder into BassAmp CM's drive stage, adding harmonics to the tone. Raise it gradually and hear how the bass becomes firmer and more textured as you near the top. If you like, you can use a simple gain plugin, such as Melder Production's free M-Utility, placed before BassAmp CM to push the input harder, for gritty distortion. For now, remove any gain plugins and leave BassAmp CM's gain at 6. The bass, middle and treble knobs represent BassAmp CM's tone stack, and this section is responsible for the bulk of the amp's character. There's no right or wrong here, so set them however works best for your song. The default settings make a good starting point for a solid, upfront modern bass tone. But for a smoother sound that works with our disco groove, we set bass to 5, middle to 3 and treble to 4. The volume knob controls BassAmp CM's output level. Crank it right up to the top to bring our bass into line with the rest of the instruments. Round off the sound with saturation from Sats and CM. Then bring in some consistency with Hornet Fat Effect Compressor. Set its threshold to -47, ratio to 6:1, attack to 0.8 milliseconds, and raise its output gain slightly to give about the same loudness when bypassed. This tone fits great with the track, but we can make it poke through just a little more using the classic bass mixing technique of combining the raw, DI'd tone, which you can hear by toggling the power switch, with the amped tone. BassAmp CM has a mix knob just for this purpose. Set it to 6 or 7 for a good balance of amp warmth and DI pop. Use the volume knob to rebalance the level if needed. Now let's see how we can use BassAmp CM and Grind Machine CM together to create a huge growling bass tone for a metal track. In our mix, we've used Grind Machine CM for the guitars and Toontrack's outstanding Metal Machine EZX for the drums, but we've rendered the backing track to a WAV so you can follow along. In a new 240 BPM project, load metalbass.wav and metalbacking.wav. For the bass, dial in the settings and add mixing plugins just the same as we did for the disco bass, but instead put the gain at 9 and bass and treble at 5.5 and 8 respectively. This takes care of the low end, and you can really feel the difference when the bass isn't there. However, the bass guitar doesn't really cut through the mid-range, and so it doesn't have that much presence in the mix. We're going to use a common rock and metal mixing technique to give it that missing mid-range presence. Duplicate the bass track, delete its plugins, and add Grind Machine CM, with the HP and LP filters at 3 and 12 o'clock respectively. Now dial in the other controls to create a layer of filtered bass distortion that sits alongside the clean sound and allows the bass to cut through the mix. To finish off, we route both bass channels to a group bus and add EQ, cutting around 80 Hz using DDMF's IIEQ Pro CM to avoid clashing with the kick drum's punch, and using Pultec style shaping from Overtone DSP's Program EQ CM to fill out the low end even more. We finish the whole lot off with a touch of mastering EQ and limiting. When you're done laying down fat bass lines with BassAmp CM, do yourself a favour and get on over to Audio Assault's site. You can download some great free plugins, check out the full version of the Grind Machine guitar amp sim and its bass heavy cousin bass grinder, and check out some high quality mixing plugins like Head Crusher, Multitransient, Exciter and FreeQ. Until 4th of February 2016, computer music readers get 20% off any Audio Assault order with the code printed in the magazine, so check it out.
Download over 30 exclusive plugins. Get hundreds of pro-quality samples and power up your production skills with in-depth tutorials. We break it down for you step by step, and you'll see exactly how it's done in expert video guides and producer masterclass sessions with pro producers. Get all this and more with Computer Music Magazine every month on iPad and iPhone, PC and Mac, Android, and in print.